What makes self-inquiry different from practices like yoga, prayer, or religious paths? The key difference lies in how it approaches the self, the I. In many spiritual practices, such as hatha yoga, you learn physical postures. There's often pride as you think, I can do this, especially when you master a pose with a Sanskrit name. Here, the sense of I grows, taking pride in its achievements. Take Raja Yoga with its eightfold path. It offers valuable teachings on moral principles like the yamas and niyamas. But there's still an individual striving to become virtuous. Similarly, Kundalini Yoga focuses on awakening energy in the chakras, but again, the I remains at the center. Prayer, too, revolves around the self. Even in deep devotion, there's an I saying, I am praying to God. Advaita Vedanta, however, takes a unique turn. It doesn't focus on outward actions or achievements. Instead, it seeks to uncover the essence of the I. This teaching encourages you to trace the I back to its source, to go beyond it entirely. In doing so, the individual identity dissolves, revealing profound freedom. This is why Advaita Vedanta is often called the direct path. How is this different from meditation? Meditation often involves focusing on an object, a mantra, word, or image. The I narrows its focus onto that object, creating a divide between observer and observed. In self-inquiry, there is no object. Instead, you turn inward and ask, who am I? Where does this I come from? You aren't tracing the origins of your body, but the root of the I itself. By finding this source, you come to see that the I you believed in doesn't truly exist. It never did, and it never will. When this understanding takes root, your view of yourself begins to change. For instance, if you catch a cold, you might usually think, I have a cold. But after this shift, you might think, the I has the cold, realizing that the cold isn't part of your true self. If you trace the I back to its origin, neither the cold nor the I remain. This realization applies to everything. When you think, I am hungry, you understand it's not the true self that's hungry. It's the I. Whether it's tiredness, joy, or sadness, these are all layers added to the I. By seeing through them, you realize the true self is untouched by life's ups and downs. In truth, there's only one I, pure consciousness. By tracing the I back to its source, you uncover universal consciousness. How can you do this? Through silence. But not just any silence. True silence isn't about not speaking, it's about going beyond thoughts and entering the reality of pure being. For someone unfamiliar with Advaita Vedanta, silence may seem like simply staying quiet. But real silence is about moving beyond your human identity. It's only when this silence is understood that you encounter pure awareness. This silence isn't about effort. Many try to quiet the mind, but the very act of trying keeps the mind active. Real silence arises when you realize there's no mind to quiet. If meditation calls to you, meditate. This path doesn't oppose other practices. Each practice, in its way, can lead to awakening. Do what resonates with you. But if you truly grasp the idea of no mind, no body, no world, no God, awakening can come instantly. Why? Because in truth, there's no one to awaken. If you feel there's work to do, meditating, overcoming obstacles, or fixing yourself, ask yourself, who is doing this work? It's the ego. The belief in karma, habits, or past impressions is another trick of the mind. These things don't actually exist. If they were real, you'd be endlessly trying to overcome them, as the mind's nature is to keep you trapped. Recognizing this is the highest truth. There's nothing to overcome, no karma to dissolve, no mind to manage. Once you see beyond these games of the mind, you realize everything you tried to conquer was never real. Often when you overcome one problem, another takes its place. You stop drinking, but find anger. You let go of anger, but discover fear. It becomes an endless cycle, Until you understand, there's nothing to overcome. The root of the problem is the I itself, which ultimately is an illusion. Self-inquiry leads to the insight that the personal I doesn't exist. Wouldn't it be incredible to see this all at once and free yourself instantly? Yet we cling to the idea of working on ourselves. We think, I need to meditate, or I need solitude. In reality, there's nothing you must do. Awakening happens naturally when you're open to it. The true self has never been asleep. It has always been awake. If you practice meditation or follow a routine, that's fine. But remember, the true self has no body or mind to practice with. As long as you feel limited by the body and mind, practices may seem necessary. Otherwise, the mind can easily pull you in different directions. The highest practice, however, is self-inquiry, Atma Vichara. It points to the realization that there's no practice, no God, no enlightenment, no past lives, and no separate you. You are already free. What remains? Many wonder, if there's nothing, what's left? The answer is, nothing is holding anything together because nothing is separate. Words like bliss, pure awareness, or consciousness hint at this truth, but even they fall short. Silence is perhaps the closest description. It represents a state beyond concepts. Some call this Parabrahman, beyond Brahman. But the moment you define it as a place or goal, it slips away. There is no place, no silence, no Parabrahman. All that remains is to discover this for yourself. Words cannot fully reveal this truth. It requires deep honesty. Think about how often we look for answers outside ourselves, trying new practices, seeking different teachers. Yet the teacher you're searching for is already within you. When you settle into silence, you find the teacher and the seeker are one and the same. The endless search ends right where you are.